All right, what's up, everybody? Dropped some videos last week on grip, talking about more or less like how do you know if you have a good grip? How do you go out and train this to assess if the grip is going good, etc. If you didn't watch those, go back and watch those. Kind of important in regards to this current video, but I wanted to answer some questions, or one in particular that came in because there were a bunch of questions kind of along the same lines, but this guy, I thought, basically asked something that probably a lot of people are either wondering or have experienced and not sure how to get over. So, question is this: what changes in your hand's input on the double drill during slow versus fast splits? Are you increasing the input from the strong hand on the rear of the grip to make it come back down faster, or is it better to have no change in the input and just time it? Another way to ask this: what is the difference, or what's the input difference between predictive and reactive shooting? And I think the most important part of this question is, or well, this isn't a question anymore. This is more or less a comment. It says, I feel my strong hand tense up during, say, a 6-shot string and feel like I'm pushing into the gun to support the quicker splits in between shots, but I feel like this is dead wrong. Yeah, I agree. All right. So what he's essentially talking about is when he goes faster, this firing hand tenses up, thus moving the gun around off of the target. And, I talked about this a bunch in those last 2 videos that I put out about grip. But basically what's happening is the firing hand is clamping up and moving the gun around. It's like the support hand. You can attach it as hard as you possibly can, and you could still move it around with the firing hand by clamping it up, right? And so the goal with this would be to make this firing hand just sit on the gun and just be able to move the trigger finger isolated from the rest of the fingers. This way the rest of the fingers aren't putting extra input on the gun. And that's kind of what this guy is trying to train, and I think this is what he's trying to, or this is what he's describing he's experiencing as he starts going faster. Now, I think what ends up happening is, people will go, okay, well, if I slow down, I can make the gun be very, very predictable. But as soon as I do something like speed up, it's no longer predictable. And this is kind of what he's describing, right? So there could be a couple things happening here. I don't have them in front of me shooting, but I think a lot of the time what happens is when people slow down, they'll do something like, all right, I just have to basically not move the gun, and this is a speed that makes me feel very comfortable. And it's a whole lot easier to not put input on the gun because I feel super comfortable. But as soon as they speed up or go at a pace that makes them feel uncomfortable, this hand starts pushing on the gun and clamping up. This is what we call having too much tension in that hand. And then the gun becomes very unpredictable. The other thing that happens when they slow down, or they are kind of getting away with when they slow down, is simply staring at the dot as it lifts, right? So like dot lifts, you watch the thing lift and then watch it come back down with your eyes. The other thing that is kind of similar along the same exact lines, like you might be looking at the spot, dot lifts, and then right before it comes back down, it catches your attention, and then you put it back down on the spot. And then it's like, man, as soon as I speed up, I can't do that anymore. So it's like now the gun is really, really unpredictable. So what would the fix for this be? Am I putting extra input into the gun while I'm trying to shoot faster? No, I'm not putting any extra input into the gun. I feel like that is simply wrong, especially if you're thinking about this in terms of like, all right, at 25 to 12 splits, I have to do this sort of input on the gun. And then maybe 25 to 40 splits, I have to do this type of input. It's like, no. Like the grip stays the exact same despite how fast you're going. At least that should be the goal. And I think, if you're speeding up and then you feel the need to have to like really shove on the gun to make it come back down, I think there's probably a couple things at play there. Number one, the support hand probably is not attached to the gun Number two, you are probably not looking to a place on the target in which to return it. And I think eyes always tell the hands what to do. So in other words, if I look to this small spot on the target, like right there, and I'm trying to do something like return it to that exact same spot, again, the eyes always tell the hands what to do, and I'm going to have a whole lot easier job returning the gun there. Now, one thing that this person or a couple other people or whoever is wondering this could try is a drill called trigger control at speed. All you're going to do, set up your shot timer on random, and you'll have a dry gun, so no bullets. Aiming it on the target, on a small spot on the target. Have your finger somewhere inside of the trigger guard, kind of like this. And as soon as you hear the beep, smash through the trigger. All right. As soon as you hear the beep, smash through the trigger. And the goal would be to get it to where you can smash through the trigger, kind of like that, and the gun doesn't move as you smash through the trigger. Now, if you're getting something like this, right, when you press the trigger, it's like this is going to give you an opportunity to see, like, what is the grip doing? What are some of the changes that I need to do in regards to making this gun behave a whole lot more predictably when I smash through the trigger? One key piece to this drill, in my opinion, is smashing through the trigger as soon as you hear the beep. So it's like, think about like you should be reacting to the beep. So as soon as you hear it, smash through. If you hear the beep and then wait like 10 seconds and then slowly press the trigger, you're not going to get anything out of this, right? So again, have your finger somewhere inside of the trigger guard. As soon as you hear the beep, smash straight through the trigger. Now, I'm not saying that you will press the trigger like this all the time. However, as a training strategy, I think it is actually a really good idea. If I can smash through the trigger in training without moving the gun, then I could show myself like what my grip needs to do without moving the gun around. I think it's actually really smart. So there you go. That's kind of what I have on like grip pressures changing in regards to shooting slower, shooting faster. I don't like my grip changing. I don't think it's a good idea. And if it was changing, that's probably something that I would go ahead and pay attention to and probably be like highly aware of and want to change. I would definitely look at changing that. And again, that dry fire drill that I just talked about, that would be a really good drill to do to change that. In live fire, I think, shooting something like bills or doubles, at that like predictive pace where you're going to look to the spot the entire time and pull the trigger as fast as you possibly can. Like that would be really good stuff to do. And then, you go down, take a look. What are the trends on the target? What are the trends with my grip that I'm feeling? What am I seeing the gun do while I'm shooting that stuff? All good things to look at, because it's going to give you a whole lot more information in regards to what your grip and what your vision is doing. So that's what I got on that. Let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns below.